All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel and welcome to today's video. In today's video, I'm going to perform the 6-month maintenance on my Bambu X1C, as well as both of my AMS units. Along the way, I'm also going to talk about some of the build quality, some of the things that I like and I don't like about the Bambu or the AMS as I do the maintenance on it. At the end of the video, I'll go ahead and give my good, bad, and ugly from a 6-month perspective. So I've already done a 1-month review on this. So this is after having the unit for 6 months. I'll be reviewing what I like, what I dislike, and what I think can be improved in the Bambu X1C. So if all of that sounds good, then sit back and relax. I'll get everything ready. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is clean the X1C. So I'm going to wipe all the fingerprints off the glass on the top, all the fingerprints off of here. I'm going to blow some of the stuff out in there and vacuum all of the stuff up out of the bottom of it. So before we do any of the other stuff, make sure that your X1C is completely clean. This is a good time to kind of clean everything and make sure that you keep your unit maintained. All right, so these are the things that we'll need in order to perform the maintenance on the X1C as well as the AMS. So we'll need a 2mm and a 1.5mm hex driver for the extruder portion of the maintenance. We'll also need some isopropyl alcohol to clean some of the stuff. We'll need some of that multi-use synthetic oil. And then we'll also need the grease for the 3 rods that are in it. I'll leave a link to all of this stuff below. All right, so step 1 is to clean the carbon rods up here on the top. And you do that by putting a little isopropyl alcohol on your rag and then wiping them down. And then we'll move it over and clean where it was. And as far as the quality of the rods and the belt, as you can see, there's no damage. They're not really all that dirty. Everything seems to work really well. So after 6 months, everything is, looks very, very good on the carbon rods. All right, so the next step is to clean the 3 Z-axis lead screws. In my first video, I only cleaned this one and this one. Do not forget about the one in the back there. And what we need to do is clean these and then put some more grease on them. And as you can see, just by simply touching them, my finger has a little bit of that grease on there. So I'll show you this first one, but we do need to clean this one, the one back there, and the one on the right. Do not forget those, all 3. So basically what you're going to want to do is just clean everything. Clean the rod really good. You'll see how black the rag gets. Sorry about the light here. But you're going to want to clean that. Then you can even move it. Move the bed down. And go ahead and clean the rod. Okay, so let me get all 3 clean, and then I'll show you how to grease it. Alright, so the instructions say for greasing the rods to put a thin coat on there, move the bed down, put another thin coat, and then move it up and down. So I put a little bit on here, and I'm just going to kind of put a thin coat on there. I'll do the same on this one. And same thing on the back one. And you don't need to get the whole rod done because it will move around, and we'll do this one more time. So now I'll move it to the bottom. Then we'll add just the lightest bit on there. And then I'm going to move the bed up and down 2 times to make sure everything is spread out. All right, so the next thing that we'll want to do is to clean these rods on the sides right here with a rag with a little isopropyl alcohol. And you don't need to shine them. You just need to knock any dust or debris that's off of them. They're not that dirty. And again, that's another thing that build quality wise, I don't see any rust. I don't see any chipping, fraying, or anything like that on those rods. Do inspect these during yours, but for the 6-month review, I mean, they look perfect. They look just like they did the day I took it out of the box. All right, so next on the list is to remove the front cover here, and we're going to remove the extruder here, as well as the filament cutter that's right here. So in order to remove the extruder, you need the 2mm hex screwdriver, and there's 3 nuts on there to do that. And then you need the 1.5 right here to pull this out. So this comes out, and you do have to take this out to get the extruder out as well. And this is where the filament cutter is. And we'll inspect that and most likely replace it. So in the instructions, they show cleaning the little yellow gear right here with compressed air while it's in there. I think it's easy enough to take it out. You're going to need to take the one piece out for the cutter head, and then it's just 3 screws from there to take it all the way out. And what you're going to want to do is make sure that all the gears and everything are clean in here. And then I think the next step is to check this silicone sock right here on here. So all of that stuff is easy enough to do when you pull it out, and it's good to clean everything in there, make sure everything's free of dust. So I've already done that, and I've already blown this out and everything. I do have multiple sets of these extruders, so make sure that if you change from, I have an extruder for 0.2, 0.4, and 0.6. Whenever you change those out for the different sizes, or if you replace your nozzle, make sure that you just blow everything out with a little bit of dust. You don't want little bits of filament to clog these gears up, because that will affect how well it is grabbing the filament and moving it through there. So we want to do that. And as you can see on this one, we also have a broken sock end that we need to replace as well. This is the second one of these that I've had to replace, so I do recommend buying spares of these. The cutter head seems to be fine, but we'll go ahead and replace that because it's been in use for about 4 months now. So make sure you pick up these little filament cutter heads and these little silicone socks and the little thermistors and all of this. And one of the times that you're ordering filament or something, make sure that you get all of these little spare pieces so you're not caught, without being able to print because you don't have one of these things. All right, so I put the new silicone on there, and I have a new cutter head, so I'll go ahead and get that back in there, and I'll meet you at the next step. All right, next step is to clean the lenses for the LiDAR and the camera. So as you can see right here is our hot end, and right there is the LiDAR, and that's what we need to clean with the Q-tip. So on the left side here is the camera lens, and same thing. Alright, so the last thing that you're going to want to do on the inside is blow out this fan as well as the fan that is on the extruder. So you can see this little fan, this part cooling fan. We're going to want to blow that out. We're also going to want to blow this fan out as well. You also want to check this nozzle wiper, make sure it's not broken. I have broke one, and you can print out all of the replacement stuff, or you can buy it as well. All right, so the next thing that we'll need to do is to lubricate both of these idler pulleys right here. The last time I did this, all I did is put a little bit of oil right here and a little bit of oil right here, and there were some comments about getting it on the belt, and that was going to ruin everything and I could never print again. I can tell you 3 months later that everything worked out just fine the way that I did it. I haven't heard any squeaks. Look, this thing barely needs a little tiny bit of oil on there. Don't overdo it, but don't freak out if you get a little tiny bit on your belt. Now, if you saturate your belt and soak it and do all of that, you might have some problems. But if you just barely put a little bit of oil on this thing, you should be all right. And again, some people were concerned. My printer's just fine. The sun came up just like it did, like it was supposed to this morning. Nothing bad happened. So I just wanted to point that out. So I'll go ahead and get these oiled. All right, and while we're back here, I'm going to go ahead and inspect all of this PTFE tubing and make sure everything's good to go. We're going to check it in the AMS as well, but I do want to replace this one. And the reason being is this, and this is the way that it came from the factory. Some of the filament is now getting caught here because I think this angle is a little bit too abrupt right there. So I'm going to put a little bit longer piece of PTF tubing right there, and then I'm going to inspect these tubes to make sure there's no holes or any excessive wear or tear on there. All right, so we'll go ahead and change the carbon filter. You do that just by pulling this out. All right, so for the AMSs, it does have a step to check these feed tubes, but it doesn't give any instructions on there. I have had one of these fail, and I was able to fix it. What you want to do is make sure that you blow everything out inside of here really good with air and make sure it's clean. We're going to take this apart. I'll show you how to do that. You take out a screw here, right back here. You want to take your 2 fingers, push in on that. That will take that PTF tube out. So we'll go ahead and take these 2 screws out. Now don't go just yank this thing out. There are 2 wires that are behind here. So what I like to do is kind of rotate it, and then I'll unplug those 2 wires. And as you can see, those 2 wires need to come out. All right, so now that you have everything out, you're going to want to inspect each one of these tubes and make sure you don't see like a little clear spot or a place where it's rubbing through. Anywhere where it bends is probably a place where it's going to rub. If you run a lot of harsh material through here, or abrasive material through here, you're going to want to replace these. In the manual, it says to check after 5 rolls of abrasive material and after 10 rolls of normal material, which I don't think I have 10 rolls of normal material through each of the tubes here, but for sure these first 2 I do. So let's take one of them off and see what it looks like. All right, so looking at it, I don't see anything worn through. I don't see any dust or anything like that, so I think it's fine. But be sure to check these really well. Oh, actually, no. Right there. So like I said, where the bends are, you really need to check that and feel with your finger. That's how I just felt this one. So I can see, I don't know how well the camera is going to pick that up, but I can see a little bit of wear, and I can also see a tiny little hole. So let me get a new one of these, or actually I'm going to check the rest of these, and whichever ones need to be replaced, I'll go ahead and replace those. All right, so 2 were good, 2 were bad, so I went ahead and just made up new ones for all of it, and I'll do the same thing on the second AMS. So I'll get those plugged in, and then we'll put it back together. We'll also need to check the desiccant, and basically what we're looking for is if it's brown. And these are still good, but I'll need to check them in about a month to make sure. All right, so our X1C is fully maintained, greased, lubed up, ready for another 3 months of solid printing honeycomb plates. Just kidding. But we got it cleaned up. We're ready to go. It's good to go for another 3 months. Please don't skip that. Be sure to get in there, clean it, and maintain it every 3 months. It'll help it last a really long time. So let me go ahead and wrap this video up with the last piece of my 6-month review. And this is the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? So the good part about the X1C is it is high quality, very fast at printing, and can do multicolor up to 16 colors. Most everything is very plug and play, user friendly, and you don't have to tinker a whole lot. With the X1C, everything seems to be very, very plug and play and easy to use, and I only have to tinker with it every once in a while. And there's great people out there like Len Dizzle that are making videos to help me get through those pain points whenever I do run across them. So I will say, from a plug and play, ease of use, full package with the software and the printer for the full package, you can't really go wrong with the X1C or the P1P for that matter. So now let's get into the bad. So I mentioned this before, price. Comparatively speaking, with everything in it, with the same type of features, it's probably competitively priced. But the overall price is over $1,000 to get a printer and the AMS with the multicolor stuff. That's a lot of money in my book. Even though it's comparatively priced with everything else, it's kind of a lot of money. Second on the bad list is going to be the noise. It is pretty loud, especially when it's doing its vibration stuff. I even put the other little feed on there that didn't make a difference whatsoever. So there is a little bit of noise with it, and especially in the higher speed prints, there's definitely some noise with it. Next on the bad list is the wire connectors for the AMS. Bambu, please change that in your next generation. I mean, these things got a clip on there that's so hard to pull off, it would hold an airplane wing on. It's unnecessary, and every time I have to pull that thing off, it makes me more and more mad. All right, so the next on the bad list is going to be the poop chute. You guys have seen, I'll show a video here or a picture here of what I'm doing for the poop chute, and I basically, this brand new table here that I built out of rough cut lumber and everything, I cut a real nice hole in it to allow the filament to go through the table and directly to a trash can. The little poop chute things that they have on there that go around the side, those are cute. You can't really even get through a multicolor print without having to empty that thing out, and it gets filament everywhere. Don't recommend that. Figure out a way to get it out of the back and straight down into a trash can or into some sort of larger container there. I list this under the bad because I really wish Bambu would figure out a better way to do that. They just kind of have a hole in the back of their printer, and here, do what you need to do from there. That's not a great solution there. They could have done better with that. And now on to the ugly. And the first thing on the ugly, we've mentioned this before. I've made a couple of videos around some of this stuff, and it's the reliance on the cloud. It's not necessary. My local area network is pretty substantial. Most people's Wi-Fi network are pretty substantial these days. There's no reason to cut functionality of the 3D printer because I'm using my local area network. There's no reason to cut my camera feed off. I have plenty of cameras around here. My network is more than capable of handling another camera on its network. I just don't get the reliance on the cloud in doing that. Again, do you guys really need the data from my honeycomb prints? I don't know. All right, second on the ugly list is going to be the LiDAR. This is something that they market with the flow calibration, and you can calibrate before every print and all of that. Look, it's kind of gimmicky. If you use Orca Slicer to go through the calibration tests and you calibrate your brand of filament, I've got way better and way more consistent prints by doing that than I have by running a flow calibration every time. On the PEI plate, it's unusable. So I actually stopped using the PEI plate for a while until I started to calibrate or tune filaments with Orca Slicer, and I've been using the PEI plate ever since. But I would say that this goes on the ugly list. It is kind of gimmicky. It works and it'll get you some prints. But if you really want to get some high quality prints and have confidence that you're going to get the same print every time, you really need to calibrate your filament. Okay. Last on the ugly list is ludicrous mode. Again, I think that's another gimmicky marketing tool. It does work on the honeycomb plates. Once I got a couple layers down, I can put it in ludicrous mode, but that's because it's a whole bunch of little hexagons, right? So there's not a long stretch that it has to go. And if you look at my ludicrous video, it was those long stretches across the bed that caused the steel wool and everything. I don't really use the ludicrous mode all that much except for the honeycomb plates. But for the most part, even on the slow speed, it's way faster than my old Creality. I have not tried the longer stretched ludicrous mode prints since I've calibrated my filaments. So that may make a difference, and that maybe we'll do a video here in the near future where we'll run some calibrated filaments on ludicrous mode and see if that makes any difference at all. So let me go ahead and wrap this up. This is kind of a longer video, but I do want to wrap it up. Would I still recommend the X1C or Bambu as a company? And the answer is yes. Even though there's a list of bad and ugly things on there, that they're kind of nitpicky. Honestly, if I were to do that for the old Creality, we'd be here for a couple of hours. So I would highly recommend this. Again, high quality. I'm not being paid by Bambu. They didn't send me anything for free or anything like that. I bought this all with my own money, and all the filaments and everything like that, all with my own money, and I would still do it again. It really has got me back into 3D printing, and I just got the laser. It's got me back into making things and doing some cool things and having some really cool ideas to, just do cool stuff with new technology and stuff. So definitely would recommend it. You won't be disappointed with it. I just showed you how to do all of the maintenance on it. You can see how well built the machine is, how well thought out all of the maintenance plans and everything like that are. It is really a good, solid, full package, and is almost tinker free. You'll just need to tinker with it every once in a while, but it's not bad. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope this helped you with any buying decisions, or I hope it helped you get through one of your maintenance periods. Smash that like button. Please subscribe. Thanks to all of my Patreons and all of my supporters. And I hope everybody has a great week, and I'll see you next weekend. Bye, everybody.